Good morning, people. This is Monday Talks again. He says, energy is everything. It is the fuel that drives for your success and gives you the power to achieve potential. And when managed well, it will transform the way you live and the way you work. He has a book called Energize. And this book is exactly what we need in this moment, with so many pulls and strains and stress. That was Simon Sinek. He was commenting on the book. Not to mention a lot of others like Mary Forleo. Learning how to manage your energy changes your life. Don't just read this book, do it. So many people are just like commenting on this book, and it is amazing how viral it went. While DocuSign says Simon has the ability to deliver wisdom in clear, simple ways, is energizing and inspirational. Even Microsoft saying Simon really knows how to capture and keep hold of his audience attention. Truly inspirational. He's award-winning life and executive coach, keynote speaker, and the author of Energize. So here's me again, Daniel Talk about Monday Talks, and join me, folks, here to welcome Simon Alexander Ong. How are you, Simon?
Daniel, first of all, thank you so much for the very kind and warm welcome. It is a pleasure to be here on your Monday Talk Show.
Thank you. It is the pleasure is mine. Let me set the timer because I forgot to do. And okay, Simon coaches you to work with neutral energy resources to recognize your most energized state, when to push and when to recoup, so that you can work sustainability towards your biggest goals. Is it like we have limited energy in ourselves, or is it like we have to energize? What energize mean? Is like to recharge, if I may say so?
So first of all, energy is something that we all intellectually understand. You know, if you practice yoga, you call it prana. If you are from my Chinese culture, you might call it qi. If you are from the Maori culture, you call it mana. And if you are a fan of the Star Wars film franchise, you call it the Force. Now, whatever we describe it, we're talking about the same thing, which is energy as a life force. Mm-hmm. Now, Daniel, when we think about energy, energy comprises of 4 dimensions. We have the physical, we have the mental, we have the emotional, and we have the spiritual. But so often, we only focus on the physical being things such as get more sleep, get more rest, eat better, exercise, move your body. But many of us actually neglect the other 3 dimensions simply because we can't see them. They are invisible to the naked eye, and only we know them about ourselves. We can feel what our mental, emotional, and spiritual energy is like. And so when I talk about energy in our day-to-day lives, what I'm really touching on is 1, energy is a life force, but 2 is understanding your own energetic rhythms. And we all have different energetic rhythms. So some of us, we might be early risers. We get our best work done in the morning, whereas others tend to be night owls. We get our best work done late in the evening.
That's so interesting, really. Yeah.
I know, once we begin to understand what is our energetic rhythm, then what happens is that we can begin working with our body and not against it.
Okay, I skipped one very important step before we start talking even. I usually do the introduction and I ask you, it is so much to say when I talk about Simon, but I would love to hear from you. How do you describe Simon? Who's Simon?
Sure. So when somebody asks me what I do and who I am, I often share this. I say that everything I do is designed to inspire and awaken people's imagination to what is truly possible so they can begin living a better story. And for me, it's important to introduce ourselves in that sort of way because it's far better than just describing ourselves using titles. What I'm doing in this way of introducing myself is showing people what my mission is. To go out into the world, to awaken people, to see that they have the ability to transform, to restate their future on terms that are meaningful for them.
When was it that moment you felt that spark in your life? I mean, at the beginning you started to study politics and you were way far from coaching, right?
So
So was it
my
like
my
a
career,
twist point in life that you discovered that
yeah.
spark
So
in
I
you?
would say, Daniel, it was probably less one point, but probably a series of things that happened that
Hmm.
culminated in me making this decision. So as you rightly referenced, I wasn't always doing what I get to do today.
Hmm.
My career started in the finance industry. I went to the London School of Economics and Political Science,
Hmm.
uh, and there I studied economics for 4 years. And I started in the financial industry in 2007, a year before the global financial crisis, and with a company called Lehman Brothers, which collapsed into administration 14 months after I joined. And so my career was very volatile early on. I was in
Hmm.
and out of nearly 10 years, but it was that moment of going through a financial crisis that got me questioning certain things about my life, Daniel. What
Hmm.
did success mean to me? What sort of impact did I want to have in the world? And what did fulfillment look like? Now,
Aha,
once
that drives the next question, which I was going to ask. Success and fulfillment. You were like
very good.
highlighting the difference, so would love to hear more.
Sure. So the reason I had two questions, one on success, one on fulfillment, is because often they are very different. They sound similar, but they're different. And just to give you an example, if you were to look at some of your friends, on the
Hmm.
outside, they may look successful. They may own a nice house or drive a beautiful car, or they may be in a job that is paying them very handsomely. Now, on the outside, it is successful if we measure it against society's definition.
Hmm.
However, inside, they may not feel successful or fulfilled
Oh.
because what they're chasing is not something that they own. They're
Hmm.
running someone else's race and measuring their progress against metrics defined by other people. And that is why Bronnie Ware, a palliative care nurse, once shared that one of the greatest regrets of the dying is that they wish they had lived a life more true to themselves than a life lived for others. And that is
Uh-huh.
why understanding what success means to you, what fulfillment looks like, what impact you want to have is the beginning of a fulfilled life. Because once you have those answers, your challenge is to then design your life around them, to make them the foundation of everything that you do.
So you're saying is like success is different than fulfillment, and fulfillment is like when you feel self-satisfied of you're going in the right path to satisfy your own self, that I'm achieving dreams.
Totally. Fulfillment is all about meaning. It's all about being high on spiritual energy. Now, just to expand on what I mean by spiritual energy, when you are low on spiritual energy, that means the work that you are doing now is not aligned to the work that you want to do and
Uh,
who you really are. And so
so
when this occurs, Daniel, there is a bit of tension. There's a feeling of tension inside of you.
so it's like you will have symptoms, you will have unsatisfaction in you that
Mm.
drives you, hey, I want to ask myself, am I doing the right thing or what are I going, right?
Definitely. And this is why, if we look at society, many of us are exhausted and drained of energy, not because we are doing too much, but because we are doing too little of the things that bring us joy, the things that make us happy and feel alive.
Okay, that's interesting. Let me go to one of your interviews that was on Sky News interview, and it was about some quotes I got there. It's not like quotes, I cut short something about the secrets to live long life. That was
Mm.
an example of an oldest man in the world that is 112 years, said, always smile and never get angry. And you mentioned also ikigai culture,
Mm.
understanding what our purpose is. Can we talk a little bit about that? What's the ikigai?
Yeah, so again, this idea of purpose. In Japan, they call it ikigai. In the French language, they call it raison d'être. Now, we all know that one of the greatest adventures to go on in this life of ours is to understand why were we born? What is the tools and the gifts that we were equipped with at birth that we could then go out into the world and share? And that is why when we know what our purpose is, which brings together our natural strengths, our interests, our curiosities, who we are as an individual, once we know what that is and we're working towards it every single day, even if it's just small steps, what happens is that we start to enter a state of flow. That flow experience is a combination of one, being content in the now. You are grateful for the life that you have now, but you are also excited about what the future holds. You've got something meaningful and purposeful that you're working towards. Because after all, Daniel, to put it simply, the purpose of life is a life of purpose. And when we move forward each day with purpose, with intention, what happens is that deep inside of us, we will feel content and fulfilled.
Here's a simple question. Like, do we spend a lifetime journey to seek our purpose? Or it can even the purpose find you? Or you have to dig for it? How is it going?
Well, first of all, it is very rare for us to wake up one morning and go, Eureka, I know exactly what my purpose is. I mean, unless you are starring in a Hollywood film, it is very unlikely that this will occur. In reality, what happens is that we don't discover our purpose until we take some action to discover what it is. Now, many of us think to ourselves, I have to know my purpose first before I can take action. Now, the truth is very different. The only way that you discover your purpose is by following your curiosities. Right now, there will be certain things that you're curious about. It could be within the professional world. It could be within your personal life. And as you begin to follow those curiosities, and it may not always lead somewhere, but it's necessary to follow them, because as you do, more of the map gets revealed to you. You know, whenever we embark on a new journey, we don't get given the whole map up front. We get given a small piece of the map. And we have to start taking steps forward, because as we do, we get more clarity as to what that next step forward best is.
Wow,
but we don't know ahead of time. We can't predict the future. And so we've got to take small steps forward. And as you do, your purpose begins to be revealed to you in time.
Wow. That is really deep. And I'm starting to get very enjoyed. And okay, before we go there, and you mentioned also many of us has to slow down in order to speed up. I would love to spot some light here.
Sure. So in life, there are a lot of paradoxes in life, Daniel. And this is one of the most common paradoxes, is that so often when you look at the most successful people, it is their ability to slow down that has allowed them to speed up faster than the competition. Now, I'll give you a few anecdotes and then I'll dissect what I mean by this concept. So if you go back in history, if you look at some of the greatest discoveries within our world, gravity, Isaac Newton sitting under a tree with nothing on his mind, and then the apple fell on his head. Archimedes sitting in that bathtub having his eureka moment. Thomas
How
Edison,
fun is that? Yeah, exactly.
Thomas Edison fishing with no bait, so no one, not even the fish, would disturb him. Now, what they understood is that there is no point going out into the world and collecting all of these dots if you don't give yourself the space to connect the dots. And we can only connect the dots when we give ourselves room to breathe, the oxygen for our mind to connect all these strands of thinking and insight and ideas together. That's why when we go on holiday, we come back feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, and reset, because we've slowed down when we've gone on vacation and we've come back flush with ideas and things that we want to do. Now imagine if that feeling can be something we experience on a daily basis. Imagine if that becomes the way that we live and the way we work.
It's the me time, right?
Indeed. That we schedule in me time into our calendar as quickly and as efficiently as we do with our holiday plans, our social events, and our work meetings. Because you
Wow.
know what? When you're checking your email and a work meeting comes in, you click yes straight away and it goes into your calendar. Now, how quickly do you block out me time? Because here's the thing. If you do not block out me time consciously, what happens is there will always be something else that will take away your time.
It is indeed. That's what happened. It's like
Mm,
sometimes it eats your weekend.
totally, totally.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why once we begin to have me time, we begin to slow down. And this is where meditation can be very helpful, because all that meditation does is it helps us to control our attention and it puts us into a space of stillness. Now, as we get wiser and we practice this more often, we begin to realize that silence is far from empty. It is full of the answers and the wisdom we seek because it helps us to make sense of the noise outside of us. I mean, if we don't slow down, how do we make sense of the noise outside of us? We just get caught up in it. And
Wow.
that's why slowing down in order to speed up in today's society, Daniel, is a superpower.
Wow. Wow. That's something like drives me way out of the box. And really appreciate I did not track the time. I don't want to track the time. And I just believe that so many questions I can have in mind, and we will not finish. Maybe we'll go by your book chapter by chapter. It was like very interesting to talk to you, and let me just wrap it up by giving you the mic as I do always, and whatever you have in mind to message the audience, what will be that message?
Sure. Well, the message I would share with your audience, Daniel, comes from an experience that I had in April 2020. This was at a time in which the United Kingdom and the rest of the world began to enter its very first lockdown. At the same time, I became a parent for the first time. I
Hmm.
remember being at the hospital. My wife was giving birth after she had an operation.
Congrats! Yeah,
Thank you so much.
congratulations.
And because of the guidelines about what was going on, and we were all very nervous about the COVID pandemic, as a partner to my wife, I was only allowed in the recovery ward for 1 hour after the delivery of our daughter. Now, when I was holding my daughter in my hands, I was reminded of a very powerful insight that many of us, Daniel, often forget too soon. And that is the gift of life is an absolute miracle. I mean, think about it for a moment. The fact that you were born is a miracle event in itself. If you go
Exactly.
back in time, what were the odds of your parents meeting? What were the odds of your parents deciding to have children? What were the odds that your parents could have children? What were the odds of your great grandparents, your great great grandparents surviving multiple pandemics, world wars, all of these things that happened to our planet?
Indeed.
Now, you are evidence that your family lineage since the beginning of civilization has not been broken. You continue the line of your family. Now imagine the odds of that happening. And so while many of us wish we would win the national or the regional lottery, that we would win the jackpot, we forget that we have already won the greatest lottery there is going, the lottery of life. And so the question
Wow.
to leave your listeners with is, what are you going to do with that winning ticket that you are holding?
Wow. That is a different perspective for each of us to look at life. Uh, yeah. Where are you now? And you're the product of your past, of your history, right?
Mm.
Hmm. Okay.
You are the one holding the paintbrush. Your life is a canvas. The thoughts that enter our mind are like the colors on a palette. Are you painting your reality with bright, vivid colors, or are you painting your reality with
Black and
dull,
white.
depressing
Yeah.
colors? Exactly. But we have that choice. When we take back control of that paintbrush, we become the sculpture of our reality.
Ladies and gentlemen, sorry to wrap it up that fast, but that was Simon Alexander Ong. My, let's say, honor to have you this time with me on this show. If you want to meet Simon, talk to him if there's a chance. He's coming to Dubai September 28th, 29th. He will be part of a seminar on Atlantis the Palm. I believe you can check it out LinkedIn and you will get more details. That was me, Daniel Tokab, Monday Talks with Simon Alexander. Thank you very much, Simon, for being my guest today.
Thank you so much, Daniel.